This is the synthetic signal report for Wednesday, April 1st, 2026, in the afternoon. Today's analysis examines the operational security failure during the live NASA Artemis Two launch broadcast and the escalating crisis in the single-board computer market caused by DRAM pricing. We look at Anthropic's attempt to contain a massive source code leak for Claude code through 8,000 copyright takedown requests. This report also covers the FDA approval of Eli Lilly's new obesity pill and the introduction of CivicShield, a defense framework for government-facing artificial intelligence. Finally, we analyze the release of DUL, a tool for filtering short-form video content, and a new Rust-based high-performance flight tracker. The launch of the NASA Artemis Two mission represents a technical milestone for lunar exploration, but the live broadcast has surfaced a significant operational security vulnerability. During the official NASA Plus stream, an astronaut was observed entering a password on a tablet while seated inside the capsule. This incident, highlighted by security analysts in the community, demonstrates a failure in procedural OpSec for high-profile missions. While the mission marks the first crewed flight of the Artemis program, the exposure of authentication credentials on a global broadcast provides a clear vector for unauthorized access research. This is an update to the ongoing monitoring of space-based infrastructure security. Analysts suggest that the lack of physical shielding or polarized screen filters during live operations indicates a gap between hardware capability and personnel training protocols in high-stakes environments. The hobbyist single-board computer market is facing a structural threat as DRAM prices continue to climb. A report from Jeff Geerling indicates that soaring memory costs are making low-cost computing hardware increasingly unsustainable. This is reflected in the recent financial report from Raspberry Pi, which saw its share price jump 60% despite announcing price increases for its core hardware. To mitigate these costs, Raspberry Pi has introduced a new 3 GB model of the Raspberry Pi 4. This is a tactical adjustment to provide a middle-tier option as the price of memory chips rises globally. Current projections suggest conventional DRAM contract prices will rise nearly 60% in the second quarter of 2026, following a 95% jump in the first quarter. This surge is driven primarily by the high demand for memory in artificial intelligence server clusters, which is starving the supply for smaller manufacturers. Consequently, the era of the $35 high-performance computer is effectively over, as component costs now exceed the traditional retail price points. Anthropic is currently engaged in a massive legal and technical effort to suppress the accidental leak of the source code for its Claude code agent. The company has issued over 8,000 copyright takedown notices to GitHub to remove copies and adaptations of the instructions. This is an update to our coverage from yesterday, confirming that the leak was triggered by a map file left in a public registry. The community response has shifted toward evasion. Developers are now using automated tools to rewrite and translate the leaked instructions into different programming languages to bypass Anthropic's filters. This has created a dark code crisis where the underlying logic of the Claude code agent is proliferating through fragmented, obfuscated repositories. In a related development, a new tool called Claude Code Prompts has emerged on GitHub. This project provides independently authored templates for system prompts and tool coordination, informed by the study of the leaked Anthropic materials. This is a signal from the future. Researchers have introduced CivicShield, a defense-in-depth framework designed specifically for government-facing artificial intelligence chatbots. This is an under-the-radar development because it addresses a critical security gap in public infrastructure. Currently, multi-turn adversarial attacks, where an attacker uses a series of prompts to trick a model, have a 90% success rate against standard government AI defenses. CivicShield implements a cross-domain framework that uses formal verification and network security principles to monitor the state of a conversation. Unlike single-layer guardrails, CivicShield analyzes the entire trajectory of an interaction to detect hidden adversarial intent. As government agencies increasingly rely on chatbots for service delivery, This framework provides the technical architecture necessary to prevent models from being manipulated into revealing sensitive citizen data or issuing unauthorized commands. In the biological sector, the FDA has officially approved Eli Lilly's new obesity pill. This sets up a direct competition with Novo Nordisk's Wegovy pill. The Lilly treatment offers a high-efficacy oral alternative to traditional injectable therapies, which could significantly alter the distribution and adoption of metabolic health tools. On the software front, developers have released Dull, an application for iOS that uses CSS and JavaScript injection to filter out short-form videos like Reels and Shorts from platforms like Instagram and YouTube. This tool represents a growing demand for user-controlled interface modifications that prioritize focus over engagement algorithms. Additionally, a new project called FlightViz has demonstrated that Rust and WebAssembly can be used to render over 10,000 aircraft on a 3D globe in the browser with a payload of only 3.5 megabytes. This proves that high-performance, real-time data visualization is now possible on the web without heavy plugin requirements. Community sentiment is focused on a series of critical security patches. A significant vulnerability in Embed TLS allows for client impersonation during the resumption of a TLS 1.3 session. This affects versions 3.5 through 4.0.0. Additionally, a flaw has been identified in the D-Link DNS series of network storage devices that could allow for remote code execution. Because many of these devices are no longer supported, the community is advising users to disconnect them from the internet immediately. In the decentralized space, Machi 0.3 has been released, featuring a new Kanban system and AI-driven tagging for distributed feeds. We are also tracking milestone, a new project that acts as a BitTorrent network for large language models, allowing users to pool GPU resources for federated inference. Finally, the Supreme Court has ruled unanimously that internet service providers are not liable for copyright infringement simply because they failed to terminate the accounts of users accused of P2P file sharing. This ruling provides a significant legal shield for infrastructure providers against aggressive litigation from the music and film industries. This concludes the Synthetic Signal report for Wednesday.